Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is a pretty remarkable graph that I posted a few days ago that shows you the polling grades, if you will, that I guess are weighted here based on their error in 2020. And you want to be at the top. Being at the top is more accurate, the bottom is the least accurate. And it's just funny because every single poll that liberals cope and say is biased to Trump is at the top of this list. I'm not kidding you. Every single, the dumb biased Republican polls, they're all at this top. I mean, Insider Advantage, WIC, RMG Research, Atlas Intel, I don't think it's considered necessarily Republican. Trafalgar, which literally has an R right next to it, and they're like, oh, it's biased. The second most accurate pollster in 2020. It was like the number one most accurate pollster in 2016, but they continue to dismiss it. It's all the Republican pollsters. Oh, they're just all the most accurate. And meanwhile, you've got, and this is really why 538 is horrible in terms of how they weigh their polls. These are the best pollsters according to 538, and they say this is based on historical track record. And we know many of these polls at the top, I mean, how about Marquette and how liberal they've been, but many of these pollsters at the top have polled Trump horribly, like some of the worst. And the funniest thing, where was it? Let me try. They have Quinnipiac at number 17. They have Atlas Intel at 22 in terms of, I guess, how much they weigh a poll. Or because if a pollster is accurate in their eyes, they're gonna get it's gonna bump up one candidate more because that poll supposedly is more accurate. So in terms of inputting it into their aggregate like average, it's gonna get more of a weight because it's a poll that they deem as like more gospel than another poll that they don't like because the pollster isn't great to decide. Understand this: they've ranked Quinnipiac, which was the most inaccurate pollster of the 2020 cycle, in front of Atlas Intel, whose final poll was the most accurate in the entire cycle. They have Quinnipiac ranked in front of Atlas Intel. So this just goes to show you the like, why do we even do this, guys? If it's going to be biased, what's the point? I don't understand the point. It's so dumb. It's just a waste of time. And so you can see there's Atlas Intel, there's Quinnipiac. Atlas Intel is number one. Quinnipiac is last place. But let's see the rankings. Oh, Quinnipiac, because of their great track record. They've just got a great track record. No, they're just look at CNN at number 14. CNN at number 14. And you compare that to what they actually graded out in, the average. Second last. Look, I understand CNN, I'm sure they spend good money on their polling. They were not good at polling Trump in 2020 or 2016. A lot of these liberals, ABC News towards the bottom. Monmouth was horrible. YouGov, I mean, they take YouGov for gospel. Oh, YouGov. Oh, they're one of the best. Wait, they're fourth. They're so good, aren't they? Wait, then why did they finish like towards the bottom and they were completely inaccurate in 2020? And the funniest part of it is, if you look at look at this. You just search Insider Advantage poll bias, which is a Republican pollster, those dummy Republican polls, and look at the bias. Oh, it only finished fourth overall in terms of accuracy. They're so biased. CNN polls are so much better. Quinnipiac polls are way better. The Washington Post got it wrong 5 times worse than Insider Advantage, but you still have these liberals. What's the deal with pollsters like Trafalgar or Insider Advantage? They're biased against Democrats. No, they're right. They're right. That's the thing. And these people can't cope with it. And we have the data to back it up. They're the most accurate. And that's why 538's numbers just make no sense. Listen, I understand we're not just going to talk about the 2020 election. When you're grading pollsters, there's a number of different things that go into it, the amount of money they spend, the transparency. But in general, I would weigh heavily on how they polled Donald Trump in the 2016 and 2020 election. And many of these that they have graded out as a perfect 3.0 or 2.9 have been extremely inaccurate in the way that they've polled Donald Trump supporters. So why would they be weighted heavily? You're just going to get another false result. That's exactly what's going to happen with 538. And I haven't even seen 538's their recent polls and just their overall average. I do want to look at that right now. I mean, you can see their site is it's now partnered with ABC News. It's a real joke. I want to see if they have the average, because they have the average at 2.7. That's actually not too far off from Real Clear Politics. The last time I saw Real Clear Politics, it was at 1.5, I think. But where is the well, here's the let's see the favorability. Did she go back down in terms of favorability? Uh yeah, no, she really didn't. I mean, she's basically even right now with in terms of favorability. Do they have Trump's favorability, I wonder? That is remarkable. Her favorability is just ridiculous. I want to see if they have the election forecast, or is that behind a paywall? Harris and Trump have about an even chance to win. Is this serious? No, it's not. They have Harris at a 60% chance. And so this is a lot different than Nate Silver, who ran 538. Now he's got his own model. Trump, according to Silver's new model, which weighs polls better, and it really takes into account the electoral vote rather than a lot of these things. Nate Silver has Trump at around a 60% chance because Nate Silver realizes this is a charade. We're using the same pollsters that keep polling Trump supporters inaccurately, and we're not going to do that anymore. It's stupid. We're doing the exact same thing and getting it wrong every time. We'll do something else. Well, they want to do the same thing again. And that's why they've given Harris a 60% chance to win. Oh, look at this, a 2.8 grade. Wait, let's see where they've got the Republican pollsters graded. They've got Atlas at 2.7. Let me see if I can find. Can I not see? Okay, I'm going to look at some of these pollster grades because it is really funny. Where are the grades at? They don't even have the grades on here, but you guys can just understand how ridiculous it is. And 538, it just like I was just mind blown when I saw when you look back in the 2020 election. I'm sure the 2016 might even be worse. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should look back and see if they have something like that I was able to find. This is from the Atlas Intel. I found this from somebody who shared this, and we're like, Atlas Intel has Trump up by 4. They were the most accurate pollster. Now, obviously, I don't think Trump's going to win by 4. And I'm guessing Atlas Intel in their final poll is not going to have Trump up by 4. That's not the point. The point is if Trump is up by 4 right now and Atlas Intel was the most accurate pollster in terms of the general popular vote, and let alone the swing states. I mean, ABC had, you want to talk about a poll to throw away, ABC released the poll that had Biden up by 17 points in Wisconsin in October. And Biden won Wisconsin by less than a point. See, there's missing things and getting things wrong by 8, 9 points. You got it wrong by 17 points 3 weeks before the election. I mean, you are not polling correct. There is something seriously inaccurate, or the polling numbers are just meant for propaganda for Democrats. Like, oh, they're going to win for sure. Look at the polling numbers. That also might be what a lot of it is. But it is just funny to see all of the pollsters that get accused of being Republican and having all this bias. They're all the most accurate ones. And this is 2020, by the way. 2016 is probably the exact same thing. Remember all the liberal, news agencies and the Washington Post said Hillary Clinton's got a 98.2% chance to win. And it was probably even worse in 2016. So this is both Trump election years, and then they gaslight and say, no, they're just biased Republican polls. Well, then why are they the most accurate? Somebody tell me if they're biased. Why is CNN and Quinnipiac and reputable pollsters, ABC News, YouGov, they're all so low in this? Supposedly they're supposed to be non-biased when they're really liberal pollsters that don't know how to poll Trump people properly. And especially it happens in swing states. They'll get Pennsylvania wrong by 2 or 3 points. I mean, you go back and you look at it, and I was even looking at someone made a point. I mean, I don't know if this person was I don't have it in here anymore, but somebody on Reddit was talking about it, and they're like, why does the New York Times get graded out to be so good when they've gotten everything wrong? And then you've got all these liberals like, just be quiet. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. It's totally fine. Because someone's like, this is kind of dumb, right, guys? And they're like, oh, don't worry. It says good numbers for the Democrats, so it must be real. But I mean, it's every single Republican. The polls that they claim are Republican bias, they're always the most accurate. Why is that? I mean, it's obvious. And then you've got 538 who does polling based on weight, and Quinnipiac. I mean, this is like getting an F- on a test, and they have Quinnipiac ranked higher in terms of average weight than Atlas, who finished first. They've got last place. They say last place is better than first place. How crazy is that? If that's not proper, I mean, what is that? What's the purpose? And that's why it's probably why Nate Silver left, because it's just like, this is absurd. We're just slamming our head into a wall again. Are we going to get destroyed by Trump in terms of the polls again? Because remember, they had Biden win the popular vote by 7 points. Trump outperformed that by 3. and then all the swing states. And we know what happened against Hillary. It was unbelievable. They thought Hillary was going to win Iowa. They thought she was going to win Missouri. Obviously, Ohio and Florida. I mean, they thought that Biden was going to win Florida. They had polls that had Biden up by 10 points in Florida 2 weeks before the election. This is what happens every single time. And it just goes to show you they discount all the polls that are actually accurate in terms of grading Trump and the track record in 2016 and 2020. I really don't care about 2008, 2004. I care about how do these pollsters, how are they able to accurately, show the Trump support. And we know that CNN struggles, Los Angeles Times struggles, ABC News struggles, Monmouth, Quinnipiac's a nightmare, but they're not putting out many polls now. New York Times is a nightmare. Sienna's a nightmare. YouGov is a nightmare. I mean, this is not really surprising at this point, but it just goes to show you that the accurate pollsters are deemed Republican bias. And even you've got like people on Reddit, they're like, oh, they're all so biased. Well, then why are they the most accurate? I mean, are you going to deny this? This is what it is. I mean, this is 538, their data. And it doesn't surprise anyone. Go look at all the polls on Real Clear Politics. Trump outperforms every single major aggregate average in 2016 and 2020. He outperformed the popular vote by 1.5 in 2016, 3 points in 2020. Swing states outperformed pretty much all of them in 2016, many of them in 2020. And so this just goes to show you the polling bias that we're dealing with. But either way, guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.